We've already ran a whole suite of benchmarks against it, tried out a bunch of things, and I'd say we're pretty familiar with it. I think it's impressive in a number of ways. It's impressive how much power you get for the cost. I think the flip side is it's actually not quite something that could even consider implementing into our process. And I think there's a lot of clients that'll reach the same conclusion after they start working with it.
Why is that?
So a lot of how we help our clients is with things like trying to identify risk and trying to identify, sort of build up these different workflows for different parts of the financial process. And a really big part of that is related to trust. You need to be able to give answers that you're very confident in. You need to give answers that you can sort of deeply intuit where it's coming from. And I think one of the challenges of this model is that it has some very clear political biases right off the bat. So if I'm trying to use it to say, understand what my portfolio exposure is to China, it's going to be a challenge to use it for things like that. Also, a lot of the things we're most excited about are things like being able to do computer use, being able to sort of teach the machine how to like interact with different apps and things on the computer, image recognition, trying to extract out charts and things like that. And a lot of those kind of capabilities that actually doesn't really have, it doesn't seem to be as sophisticated in. So it can do very well in certain benchmarks, but when it actually comes to trying to apply it for at least most of the use cases that we're doing, it's not quite there yet.
What is there for you right now? Like what does work?
I think the most interesting thing for me is actually on the reasoning side. So of course, like one of the really big pushes OpenAI's had right now is like with O1 and O3. You've got these models coming in where in theory, they can take a task, break it into subcomponents, and then start executing on those components. And I think in that area, it's actually quite good. I also think, just from a cost basis, it's extremely impressive what they've been able to do. There's been some controversy about exactly how much it costs to actually train the model. What I can confirm, though, is the actual inference cost, the cost of running the model, is extremely cheap compared to what you're getting with like O1 and O3. And so just the fact it's even possible to do that is a major technology breakthrough.
If nothing else, does DeepSeek just highlight the cost issue and potentially the movement down in costs of implementing AI?
Yeah, the way I like to think about it is the cheaper it is to train these AI systems, then the more advanced capabilities you can train. The more advanced capabilities you can train, the more use cases you unlock. The more use cases unlock, the more you actually see it accelerate. So I actually think this model will probably cause an acceleration in the capabilities of other models that are being built as more folks start to adopt it. So for me, I actually see it as completely positive.